Now it's time for Asked and Answered, where I answer some of the questions that you guys send us via email. Keep them coming at Megyn. You can email me at MEGYN at MegynKelly.com. Here to bring this week's latest, my executive producer, Steve Krakauer. Hey, Steve.
Hey, Megyn. How's it going? All right. We've got our first question from Sam, who is a Democrat viewer and listener of the show. He says he disagrees with some of your policy issues, but values the show to keep him informed. And his question is, do you think there's a scenario where Trump could legitimately lose next week and concede?
I think so. I think it would have to be a landslide. I think it would just have to be indisputable, where she just crushed him. And then I think even Trump, he'll complain and he'll say it was stolen and he'll say it was unfair and the media and all those things. But I don't think he'll continue with the behavior we saw last time. Now, I will say, he wouldn't say in advance of 2020 that he would concede if he lost. And I remember doing a hit with somebody saying, he's not going to do that. He will concede. And he did ultimately leave office. I don't know if he ever really conceded. But I underestimated just how committed he was to his threats in 2020. I think it will be a little easier this time if he loses, though, because he's not in office. It's not like being fired and forced to leave the White House, which has an extra element of, just failure to it and not disgrace, but, embarrassment, which Trump does not handle well, as we know. So I think if he loses in a landslide, he will concede, but anything short of that, and buckle up.
That's right. Yeah. By the way, people forget, he left, as is the tradition, he left a very nice note for Biden, and it's remained private, but he left that note, the good luck in your term, that Biden said was a very nice note. So he did walk away from the White House.
He did. He didn't go to the inauguration, which we didn't like, because we like to see our outgoing president show up at the new president's inauguration and show that America matters more than anything. We're classy, we're Americans first, and we don't let these petty political grievances spoil these moments of pageantry in our country. That didn't happen, which I think many people did not like. And we've never seen somebody contest the peaceful transfer of power quite the way that Trump did with the J6, all that stuff. That's why people are holding it against him, right? But ultimately, he was not forced out of office, and the system held. The system did hold. The courts did what they did. He's still angry about it. But Trump did leave office, and we had 4 years of Joe Biden, and we all saw how that worked out. Go ahead, Steve.
That's right. All right. This next one is from Tiffany. She says she appreciates the show, especially how you speak your mind with, quote, no fear. Her question is, what has been the most influential factor in building your confidence?
Well, okay, I have two thoughts on it, Stephanie. Number one, I do my homework. And so if you really, really know your subject matter, it gives you confidence to speak about it. And I always say the following to people. If somebody said to you, Stephanie, explain why your hair is the color it is. You could walk them through exactly why your hair is the color it is. Well, my mom's hair looked like this, or my mom's hair looked differently than mine did, but so I dyed it, and this is the color I dye it, and I go to this guy, and he, whatever the story is. But you could speak about it confidently and really add details on it because it's something you know better than anybody. Well, just apply that knowledge base to anything, to the news, to Trump, to Kamala, to policy, to Medicare. It could be anything. And as long as you really know the subject matter, you can speak about it confidently. So it's really, the number one thing is homework. And then the second thing is, to the extent I have any sort of natural confidence, it is very much due to my parents, who never gave me any false praise. Never. One could make the case they were slightly too brutally honest, but it had its gifts, right? It gave me a very good sense of self-awareness. And I don't think I'm good at things that I'm not good at. And I don't really think I'm bad at things that I am good at, right? I think I have a really good read on what my talents or weaknesses are, which does help one's confidence. Because it's you're not constantly swinging and missing. You're not constantly getting different feedback from the world than what's in your head. It kind of matches up, which gives you more confidence to take another risk if your instincts are telling you to take a risk, and so on. I really do think that faint praise is a deep problem. We try not to do it with our kids. I think I'm a little sweeter than my mom, who I love. But that kind of worries me too, because her system worked very well in this way. So anyway, that's my thought on it, Stephanie.
Yeah, self-awareness, so huge. Well, that kind of dovetails with the next one here. This is from Bree, who says she's so impressed with your ability to stand resolute in your opinions. She wants to know if you believe your strong principles and moral centeredness are more of a result of innate nature or early nurturing.
I think that one is nature, not nurture. I was always sort of like an outgoing person when I was young, but I wasn't running around like having to tell everybody my opinions on things or having to dominate the discussion. And even in my personal life right now, I would definitely say I'm more of a beta on a personal basis. If I go out to dinner, I don't have to dominate the conversation. I'm thrilled actually to let somebody else run herd at the dinner table and just take in the show. In fact, I'm attracted to people with big personalities where they're the ones who are on and sort of the stars. But I think to the extent you're having that impression about me, I think it's just because I'm steeped in the news and in these subjects, so I feel comfortable talking about them. And if somebody wants to hear from me on them, I'm happy to speak, right? Like I do know my facts, back to the earlier question, and I'm happy to walk somebody down the lane. Where I get like more assertive and more like dominant is when I hear a bunch of nonsense being spewed in my presence. And I will tell you, Bree, I try to hold my tongue for as long as I can. And then if the person keeps pushing me, eventually I'm going to have to let them have it. It doesn't happen often, but there was this one crazy dinner that we had years ago. And the person who was at the other end of the table doing this was the skier Bodie Miller. And he was saying all sorts of stuff about cops and black men. And it wound up in one of the most epic social nights of our life. But it was because of that. While normally I would not attack Bodie Miller, who I really admire and think his accomplishments are just second to none. He was out of his lane and he was saying a bunch of nonsense. So that's when I felt compelled to speak up, Bree. I'm sure you're not surprised.
I'm sure she's not. All right. Well, that was great. Keep them coming. The next time we do this will be after the election, or at least after Election Day.
Oh my gosh. I think we're going to have a few things to talk about. I'm predicting. Yeah. I can see in the future, and I predict we'll have plenty to discuss the next time we do one of these extras.
That's right. Absolutely. See you then.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for writing in. It's Megyn at megynkelly.com, and thanks to Steve as well. This show encourages honest conversations, which isn't easy in today's media environment with big tech deciding who and what gets amplified. Well, there's a news platform that prioritizes free speech and transparency without controlling the narrative. Ground News. Ground News is an app and website that aggregates related articles from around the world, highlighting each source's political bias and corporate influence. Here's an example. Recently, CBS News told their staff not to refer to Jerusalem as being in Israel. And guess who didn't cover this? Left-leaning media. On Ground News, you can see more than 90% of the coverage is coming from right-leaning sources. Ground News has an entire blind spot feed with stories like this that are receiving lopsided coverage. It reveals how media narratives are shaping the conversation, and they're offering our viewers 40% off their Vantage plan, which gives you unlimited access to their website and app. They are independent and supported by subscribers, not corporate interests. Check them out at groundnews.com/Megyn. That's ground, GROUND, news.com/Megyn to take back control of the news you consume. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.